Hey, contact me today for a free 68-point checkup of your network. That, my friends, is what we call an offer. And that's what we're going to talk about today on episode 19 of the Cheeky Sales Coach. And of course, the word of the day is offer. An offer is a proposal or starting point of a sales discussion. I hope you've figured out by now that most sales does not consist of you posting up a price and people say, okay, I'll pay that. Instead, it is about a discussion. So here are 6 or 7 things you need to know about the proposal. Thing number 1 should be fairly obvious by now. It's a starting place. The proposal is the place where you begin the discussion. As a result, most of the rest of this follows from that because the rest of the other things we're going to talk about are the details of your sales discussion. The important part that you have to know is that you set the discussion. Remember we talked a while back about anchors. An anchor price is a price that gives your potential buyer some idea of whether you cost $1, $10, $100, $1,000, or $10,000. They have to have some kind of an anchor to begin the discussion. The same is true of many other pieces of whatever it is that you're selling. So your offer kind of sets the stage. It's the topic of what that discussion is going to be about. Now, granted, in a perfect world, a client will engage you in a much deeper discussion and buy lots and lots of stuff, not just the one little thing that's the center of the offer. But the really important thing about thing 1 is that you are almost never going to have somebody accept your offer at face value. And that's actually good because the point of the offer is not to make a request and get a sale, make a request and get a sale. That's not the way the world works. Sadly, you're going to make a request and then you're going to engage in a conversation. So the goal has to be about the conversation, and you have to know that this is the first piece of that process. Thing number 2, do not cling to your original offer. Do not worry if somebody says, well, I don't really want that, I want something else. That's totally cool. The offer has already done its job by beginning the conversation. So if you cling to your original offer, remember you've got a funnel going on. And the point of the offer is to get people in the top of the funnel so you can have a conversation. If you cling to your offer, what you're really doing is saying, I've got a thing, do you want it or not? Yes or no? And that's not a conversation. That doesn't engage people in a two-way discussion about their business and how you can help them. So do not cling to your offer as if you've got some kind of perfection there, that this offer is really the number one thing. A great example of an offer would be that somebody says, hey, I will come and test your heating and air conditioning system for $69 and we'll see if you have any problems. Okay, their goal is A, they want to sell you a maintenance contract that's longer term, or B, that checkup is actually going to find some serious work that needs to be done. Then they're going to sell you a maintenance program or the hourly labor, whichever one. So the idea is not to make $69 minus the cost of labor plus the fully burdened cost of having an employee. So the total would be maybe 20 bucks profit. That's not the goal. The goal is to have a conversation. So if somebody calls and says, I don't want your checkup, but I'm having an issue that I know about, please come and look at this. Well, don't try to talk them into the checkup. They're already telling you that they want to engage you in a discussion about the specific problem they know they have. Thing number 3, don't worry about the details. What does that mean? Well, Here's the thing. Your offer, for example, a 68-point network checkup, that's a great offer, but who cares if it's 68 or 65 or 72 or 91 or 14? Like, that isn't the important part about the offer. In fact, what we check up, how we do it, where we do it, which tools we use, what the report looks like, none of those things are central to the point of the offer. The point of the offer is get in the client's office, engage them in a discussion, sit down with them, ask them about their problems, and let them begin to tell you why they called you in. I always like to remind people, one of the most powerful questions you can ask a prospect is, why am I here today? Because at the end of the day, they've seen your offer again and again and again. They've seen offers from other people. And today they called you in and sat you down, and you're having this discussion. Something changed. Something happened. Somebody left. Somebody made a proposal. Somebody had a problem. A piece of equipment broke. Something changed, and that's why you're there. So don't worry about the details of the specific elements of your offer, because that's not why you're there. Thing number 4, have a step 2 ready. What does that mean? Well, see these? These are funnels. Remember, you're engaged in a funnel process. What you're doing here is you're engaging the prospect in a discussion that gets them into your sales funnel. What is a sales funnel? It's a step-by-step process to take people from prospect to buyer. If you don't remember about funnels, go watch episode 2. The funnel process has to have stages, and the offer is simply step number 1. So then what is step number 2? You have to be ready for that. So if somebody says, I'll take you up on your offer, okay, you have to have a process, whether it is a process for checking out their heating and air conditioning system, a 68-point network analysis, whatever it is that you're offering, you have to be ready to go as soon as they say okay. Remember, you will get more people who are interested in having a discussion than you will get buyers. So be prepared to begin that discussion. Have something ready to go. Don't just make an offer and then when somebody says yes, you say, oh, what do I do next? Thing number 5, you should have 2 or 3 different offers going on at the same time. Now, this might mean that on your website, for example, you've got 3 columns of offers that people want to discuss, or you might have 3 specials, or you might have an email campaign with one offer and a postal campaign with another offer and a Google ad campaign with yet another offer. So have 2 or 3. Do not have 10 or 20. Don't have so many different offers going on that they all confuse one another. Now, you can take the same offer and repeat it in postal and email and Google ads and Facebook and LinkedIn and wherever else. That's totally cool. Because when people contact you, they say, hey, I'll talk to you about that offer. Again, the offer is all about the conversation. So have a few starting points that allow people to come in from different directions. Remember, we talked about A/B tests, right? So you could have 2 or 3 things going on at the same time. Just make sure you keep track of all of those things and you know which offer actually gets people's attention, actually gets people to begin the conversation. It is very difficult to track all of the steps in your process and attach an offer to a sale. All the offer can do is get you somebody in the door so that you can have a conversation. And then you've got to do the rest. And then the next step and the next step and the next step. Every piece of the process has to do its job. But the offer's job is to get people in the door. So if you've got 2 or 3 different offers, that's a good thing. You've got 3 different ways of getting people in the door. Thing number 6, filter fast. Remember I said in thing number 2 that you have to have a filter? Well, you have to filter fast. When you make an enticing offer, you will get people who are basically not buyers. And that's fine. You will fulfill what you have promised in the offer. You have to do that. But then you have to very quickly determine, are they a real buyer? Are they really a prospect that you want to do business with? And more importantly, are they a prospect who will sign an agreement, engage in a bigger project, that sort of thing? So the less time you spend filtering, the better. So again, have your filter ready. When you begin the process, start with something that lets you know whether or not this is a real buyer or not. I've never been a fan of the concept of a loss leader. That is something where you basically, instead of having a $69 checkup, you've got a $29 checkup and you're paying your technician $20 plus taxes, plus travel, plus this, plus that, insurance, overhead, so forth and so on. You're actually losing money on the deal. I'm not a fan of that. You know, in some ways, I'd rather have somebody give something for free and call it marketing than to give it away for a small amount of money, lose out on that engagement, and then try to justify it as a loss leader. Another example is Groupon. Not a fan of Groupon. So some of you may have used that successfully, but over and over again, when I talk to business owners who have used things like Groupon, what they say is people come in, they buy that one thing, and that's it. They are cheapos. They're people who live in the coupon clipping world, and they have no interest in actually engaging as a long-term client. So if you have an offer that fits into that category, you may have the wrong kinds of prospects. That's why you need to filter fast, so you make sure that you're only having lengthy conversations that take up your time and energy with people who will become long-term prospects and clients. The bottom line on offers is the same as with everything else we've discussed. Remember that this is all about having a conversation. It's all about finding the right prospects. It's all about signing a deal with the right clients. And if we're engaged in that, we should understand that we are engaged in a conversation. That conversation starts somewhere. The starting place is called your offer. Be very intentional about it. Create it with a purpose. Make sure that you understand where it fits in your bigger picture of your sales process. Have a step 2, have a filtering process, and go out there and be as successful as possible. If you have proposals or offers that you would like to fly by me, send me an email, carlp@smallbizthoughts.com. I would be happy to assist you if I can. Put comments down below, like it if you like it, share it with your friends, and have a spectacular week. For the Cheeky Sales Coach, this is Carl Palachuk, wishing you the best of luck in everything you do. Call to action. Like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you won't miss a thing.